So there's multiple ways to get, this is the one way. Okay, this is the view. If you hit this one controls what you see in the screen. So this is the view, and it basically shows you an overview of whatever channel you've selected.
Okay.
And this is a little bit too much information because we don't normally use the gate and we don't normally use the compressor. That's for people who want to be extra fancy. So what I do is usually over here on the right, there's this thing called equalizer. So go here, and now that allows us to set the equalization for particular channels.
Okay.
And so as you can see here for the left microphone, you can see that on the low side, we have what we call a high pass filter, and it's on. You see, and it's at 140 hertz. So that means anything below 140 hertz is filtered.
Okay.
So basically the low frequency is filtered out. And the reason for that is because our voices don't normally go that low. But if that is not filtered out, that adds a lot of noisiness, boobiness to the sound mix. And so we just cut that out.
Okay.
And the way that you can adjust it is right here. You see that there's the high, mid, low, mid, and low. That corresponds to each of these individual sections.
Okay.
And you can see here there's a Q, there's an F, and there's a G. That returns to this Q, frequency,
And the gain.
and gain. So right now I can move as you can see, as I move to the left and right, you can see how
How it's moving
how it's moving around. Yeah. And so that's this. The gain in this case right now it's either on or off. See that? On, off, on, off. So that means it's off, on. And the Q represents how wide of a cut you're doing.
Okay.
And so let's say we're going for the low mid. You can see right here, there's the low mid, right? That's what it looks like currently. You can see that, right? There's a gain here. So if I want to, I can, this is referring to this guy, I can make it really narrow. So I can like cut out a super narrow band of the frequency, which is normally what we want, or I can do a wide swath and like I'm cutting out a bunch of different things at a, so that's what the Q does. And then you can obviously adjust the frequency left and right. And so let me put back to 0.
And then these are for specific things, right? Like these are setting for.
So right now we're at number 2.
Okay.
So it's for this particular microphone.
Okay.
So if I want to do another one, I can go here, etc. So for example, the piano, I don't know why this is all cut, but someone's taking out certain frequencies and I kind of increased the one for the top end, which I guess whoever likes to do that. The keys, for whatever reason, they cut out the low end. The acoustic, this sounds about right. Usually I'd like to cut out some more in terms of the low frequency because we don't need that much bass on the guitar. When you're in a band, you don't need it. If you're playing solo, then yes, I would have more of the bass in there because you're the only one instrument. But if you're with a bass guitar and everything else, you really
don't need it.
And that just makes it, again, sounds messy and muddy. So you can look at that and adjust it accordingly.
Okay.
So that's with all the EQs. For me, just personally, the way that I like to do the EQ is that I do more cutting than I do adding.
Okay.
So if I say, hey, you know what, just voice, it's really low and muffled. It sounds very muffled. So instead of boosting the lows, what I would do is I would cut
some of the high.
Cut some notes so it
balances
out better.
Okay.
That's usually because when you start adding gain or when you start increasing certain frequencies, that actually increases the chances for feedback.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
We don't want to do that. Yeah. So that's a general practice that I do. So that's the equalization. Okay. So you can play around with that as you like. The last one that perhaps, let me make sure. Yeah.